Okay, so in lesson 9, we're going to be making our sprite move. So we're continuing learning about the animation of the sprites. The biggest thing in lesson 9 is the counter, and we've taken a minute to read about that in circle 3, where we're using this counter pattern. And in number 4, we're being asked to apply it or use it. So essentially what we have here is we have the plane, and we want to make the plane move, and in this case towards the right. Okay, so the first thing we want to think about is, are we changing the x or the y? And if we're going horizontally, we know we're changing the x value. Let's see what we have here. And of course, when I run it, I don't have anything because we left one of the parameters empty, meaning right here we're asked to fill this out. Now this is going to be a very common mistake, and I actually did this earlier too, even though I've done this coding before. What I did is I just typed in plane because that's the name of the variable. We named it plane, and I did plane +1. And what we're going to notice when we do that is the plane doesn't move at all. It's just staying where originally it was. And I thought about that, and I was confused because I wasn't doing the block coding, or I don't like to use the block coding too much. But what we notice is this is actually the variable plane.x. Remember the sprite.x? So we wanted to change it to plane.x. Now if I hit run, it's going to move to the right 1 pixel at a time. So each frame is going to move 1 pixel. Okay, so that's how we use the counter. Again, the biggest thing I want to kind of mention is we need to make sure when we're changing those things, we have to do plane.x, plane.y. When we're rotating and stuff later, we have to do plane.rotation. So we need to make sure we're telling it what we're changing. If I just do plane +1, it's not going to know if I want to move the plane up or down or left or right. So that's the counter function, and we need to make sure we kind of learn then. That's going to be the emphasis for this lesson. The next thing I want to go over is number 10. That's the watcher. They mentioned this, and the watcher, well, let's kind of talk about this program. This program is asking us to make sure the, I think, motorcycle is going up and to the right. Okay, and when we run it, we're going to notice that it's going to run kind of quickly from here down to here. Okay, so we notice that it ran real quick. Okay, so, well, what's wrong? They're asking us to use and debug this program. Remember, the word debug means to fix our code, by using the watchers. And it's hard to see, but the watchers is down here in the bottom right. If it's off automatically, I believe, so we have to just toggle it by clicking the arrow. And let's take a look at what happens to my x and y when I run it. Okay, so right now it's undefined because the program's not running, but when I hit run, okay, we're going to notice that the x is increasing and the y is increasing. And if we remember, it's a little bit different from our math coordinate plane. When the y increases, it's actually going downwards. So what I'm noticing by looking at the watcher is that the y value shouldn't be going up, it should be going down. So I'm not going to finish this, but the next question is simply, okay, how do I make the y value go down? Okay, so that's going to be puzzle 10. The last thing I want to go over is puzzle 14, where you have to create your own animations. Now it doesn't start like this. I actually finished this, and I just wanted you guys to see kind of what you want it to look like in a sense when you're done. I'm going to hit run, and my crab is moving to the right, and it's kind of shaking as well. It's rotating as well. Okay, so let's actually take a look at what we have to do. I'm going to, oops, I don't know how that popped up. We're going to go ahead and start over. Okay, and I want to talk about this. Let's kind of talk about the different parts of our code again. Okay, so we're starting from blank, and again, it might sound overwhelming to us, but we kind of need to go back and remind ourselves, okay, what are the main parts of the code? Okay, so for the first part, where we create the sprites and animation, this is what I want to consider. Okay, what's going to be we need to set the animation. So we need to go back to the sprites. We need to set the variable and set the animation. Okay, so for this first part, what we need to make sure we do is set the animation, and sorry for my handwriting, and also set the variable. Okay, so we might even want to do that first. Set the variable. Okay, and then after that, if there's anything that we want to kind of set, we could do so, specifically the size or the scale. Okay, oops, scale. And remember, that's where if it's 1, it's going to be the same size as the animation. If it's less than 1, it's going to be smaller. If it's bigger than 1, it's going to be greater. And as a reminder, for the animation, you just want to go here. You could add your own by uploading it, or you could just click on animals or background or whatnot and use it. Okay, so that's going to be essentially the creating the sprite and setting the animations. Okay, so from there, setting the background, let me see. So for setting the background, we're going to want to go to, where do we want to go? The drawing, and we go ahead and just set the background. We can, if you remember from before, we could set the different shapes, like the circle or rectangles to draw the background, or of course we could use these backgrounds here. But here you're going to draw the background. Updating the properties using the counter. This is where you're going to make it setting the X and Y, you're changing it. You could scale the size, you could change the size, you could change the rotation. And then, so that's all under the properties using the counter pattern. And then finally, for the draw sprite, you're just going to use this code, draw sprites. Okay, so let's go back to mine. I'm going to clear this out. Let's go back to mine. Which one was it? Was it this one? So yeah, this is mine, and again, I'll go ahead and run it. And as we can see, here in the creating a sprite, we have the things I mentioned before, setting the variables, animation size. Okay, remember, we needed to say where or tell where the sprite starts. I said it equals crab1 because that's the name of the animation, and our variable for that is just going to be crab. We set that here. And then the scale, I wanted it half the size, so I made it as 5/10, 0 and 5/10. Okay, and then under draw background, I just put a color, again the navy blue color. The properties, I wanted to rotate randomly. I didn't use the counter here. This is the random number. I just wanted to go back and forth by 5 degrees randomly, anywhere between -5 and 5 degrees. And then finally, to make the crab walk horizontally, I changed the X value. I'm adding 1 each time. And then again, finally under sprites, I just used the command draw sprites. So that's lesson 9. It's a pretty big one. I know I'm asking a lot from you guys, so I appreciate your hard work. Okay, please let me know if you need assistance, and you guys know we do have the tutoring every Thursday.